Hi guys. So in this video, I'm just going to be going over some of the questions you may have with regards to Cyberpunk specifically. Now, I know a lot of you guys are getting ready for this game, right? It's going to come out in November, and you may be asking yourself, which monitor should I get for this game? Which GPU should I get for this? I've been doing a lot of research, right? And I've come to a little bit of a conclusion, right? And of course, this is my opinion. If you guys don't agree, that's completely okay. Cyberpunk is a shooter game. It's an exploration game. I'm sure it's going to be very vivid. It's probably going to be beautiful in terms of like the environment, the textures, etc. Just like The Witcher was, right? That being said, it is a shooter game, so you can expect fast-paced action and a lot of gunplay, etc. The question is, how do you balance these two things together? You have good environment and you have gunplay and a lot of action. You want good visuals and you also want smooth frame rates, right? Now, if you were to let's look at the top, and we'll go down to the bottom, right? If you look at 4K gaming, okay? I'm gonna start with 4K, not 8K right now, because most people can't really afford that. If you look at 4K gaming, Cyberpunk is going to look gorgeous in 4K. However, the GPUs we have right now are not feasible. They're not good enough to hit the 4K 144 hertz mark, or let alone 4K 100 plus FPS, especially with ray tracing enabled, even with DLSS on, right? You may have good resolution and you may have good visuals, but when it comes to fast-paced gunplay action, you are going to lose up on that frame rate a little or even a significant amount when compared to 1440p 144 hertz resolution. There was a video Linus Tech Tips did, 4K Gaming is Dumb, that's what it was called. And in that video, his staff were basically asked to discern the difference between three monitors. One was 1080p, one was 1440p, and one was 4K. They obviously weren't told the resolutions and the frame rates of those monitors. But the staff was able to tell the difference between 1080p and 1440p and 4K monitors, as in like 1440p 4K on one side and 1080p on one side. They could tell the difference. Like they could tell that the 1080p monitor had low resolution. However, they had a little bit of, or not little bit, like they were like kind of confused between 1440p and 4K. So that tells you something. That's giving you a sign that the difference in 1440p and 4K isn't as much of a jump as between 1080p and 1440p and 4K. So, if 1440p and 144 hertz is giving you a good resolution that's almost comparable to 4K, it's not the same obviously, but it's almost comparable to 4K, but it's giving you smoother frame rate for that better gunplay action, which one would you pick, right? Now, there are monitors that can even reach the limit of 165 hertz. That's not exactly feasible, let alone 144 hertz isn't even that isn't as feasible. However, you can get a respectable 100 plus FPS on a 1440p monitor when compared to a 4K monitor with the new GPUs. I'm talking about like the RTX 3000 GPUs and the big Navi GPUs that are coming, because they're going to have similar performance, right? With those GPUs, you're probably going to be able to hit 4K around 70 to 90 FPS, because that's the average you're getting with the current games, right? With 1440p, you're probably expecting to hit around 100 plus FPS, like 90 to 100 or even more, right? When looking at the current games, that's what it's averaging, right? So I'm just basing it off of that. So if you look at that frame rate, obviously that's a lot smoother than the 70 to 80 FPS you're getting with 4K. So obviously, when it comes to high action sequences, where there's a lot of stuff going on, you want that frame rate smoothness. When it comes to 1080p monitors, Honestly, those are just getting very much obsolete right now. They're more geared towards esports, where I don't know why they call it sports, guys, by the way, where it's geared towards, like very fast response times in Counter Strike, for example, or Overwatch or Valorant. So for things of that sort is where 1080p really comes in, and it's really, honestly, it's just really for those competitive players that want that extra edge. If you're looking for like a story-driven exploration, packed with action experience, then really, guys, I believe personally that 1440p, 144 hertz is the sweet spot, even if you can afford 4K. I'm not saying that 4K is, like you should only get this if you can afford it. No, like this is, I believe that this is the standard that, that you should probably be looking towards. And for those that, that have a hard time affording it or whatever, for some of the games that, are hitting 144 hertz and you're bottlenecking the CPU, you can use that money to invest in a good CPU and overclock it rather than spend that same amount of money on a 4K monitor, which will give you a lot less frame rates than a 1440p 144 hertz monitor. Hope you guys liked the video. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below, and subscribe and like or dislike, guys. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.